Known in history as the center of this transformation was a man who would become a legend, Hammurabi. He not only unified a territory that had always been in constant wars, the Mesopotamia, but also created one of history's most famous constitutions, known today as the Code of Hammurabi. This was humanity's first set of written laws. In today's video, we will delve into the story of this king.
At the time of Hammurabi's birth and early reign, Babylon was one of the smallest city-states in Mesopotamia. He was the sixth king of the first dynasty of Babylon, a realm still in its infancy. To understand Babylon, one must first know the entire region of Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia, situated between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, was then divided among several small city-states constantly battling and allying with each other, each under its own ruler cities like Ur, Uruk, Nineveh, Akkad-Babylon, which lagged behind the others. When Hammurabi inherited the Babylonian throne from his father, Sin-Muballit, in 1792 BCE, Babylon was just another of these small kingdoms, far from the great power it would later become. Despite his youth and recent ascension, Hammurabi realized that every move he made had to be carefully calculated. Each decision could mean the difference between his kingdom's survival and its destruction. Hammurabi pondered the intricacies of war and the need to establish internal order to prevent his realm from collapsing. From the outset of his reign, Hammurabi understood that to unify all of Mesopotamia and cease being oppressed by his rivals, he needed more than sheer brute force, something all others possessed. Hammurabi began forming alliances and consolidating his power, always vigilant for opportunities to expand his dominion. After employing numerous strategies and making many alliances behind the scenes, the time came for Hammurabi to undertake his first conquest. Imagine military campaigns, an army of thousands marching across an open field under the scorching Mesopotamian sun, preparing for a fierce battle. Mounted on his horse, Hammurabi led his troops with a clear objective to defeat Rim-Sin, the powerful king of Larsa region near Uruk. With its sturdy fortifications and experienced army, Larsa posed one of the greatest obstacles to Hammurabi's hegemony. After the battle commenced, Hammurabi's cunning and strategy destabilized Larsa's defenses. He employed siege tactics, gradually wearing down the city's walls and cutting off its supply lines. After months of intense combat, Rim-Sin's forces were finally defeated, and Larsa, the capital of the Larsa Empire, fell. Hammurabi added this crucial territory to his empire, which grew steadily stronger in the southern region of Mesopotamia. Despite his concerns about potential attacks and the importance of fortifications, Hammurabi believed that the best defense in war was offense. He continued to harbor grand ambitions of creating a world empire. His new objective was to attack a coalition formed mainly by Assyria, Elam, and Eshnunna powers east of the Tigris River. These three kingdoms had allied to block Hammurabi's access to the metal-producing areas of Iran, crucial for their war economy. The battles ensued, and by 1757 BCE, Hammurabi had to lead his armies eastward once more. The final destruction of Eshnunna during this campaign was a triumph but also a warning. By eliminating Eshnunna, Hammurabi removed a crucial buffer zone between Babylon and the eastern peoples. Thus began what became known as the First Babylonian Empire, a great empire that dismantled various kingdoms and occupied the entire region of Lower Mesopotamia from 1894 to 1595 BCE. However, despite this impressive triumph, Babylon was left exposed to future invasions and conflicts with tribes that could one day take control. Hammurabi became increasingly concerned and shifted his focus from conquering new territories to strengthening internally. He emphasized further fortification and defensive campaigns, knowing that each stone added to the walls was protection against the chaos he knew would inevitably come. By this time, he was already ill and knew he was nearing death. Yet, until his last breath, Hammurabi wanted to ensure that the results of his conquests endured. Before his death, Hammurabi left a lasting legacy for his people, the Code of Hammurabi. Near the end of his reign, on a large diorite stele nearly 2 meters tall, erected in the heart of Babylon, Hammurabi ordered an inscription depicting an insignia of his reign and the justice of Marduk, the city's protective god according to local traditions. Below this image, Hammurabi had 21 columns and 282 clauses of laws carved into the stone known as the Code of Hammurabi. These laws primarily addressed the three social classes of the Babylonian Empire. At the top were the Awilim, the elite, free men who received the highest compensation for injuries, but also paid the heaviest fines for offenses. Below them were the Muskinum, or free citizens, with slightly less social status and lighter obligations. At the base of the social pyramid were the Wardum, or slaves, who could not own property. The code also covered commerce, family matters such as divorce, adoption, adultery, and even incest. Hammurabi realized that while brute force could conquer lands, it was laws that would keep them united. His code of laws was not a collection of arbitrary rules. Each law was designed to create a certain standard of justice to be followed by all. A significant move in a society where the law of the strongest usually prevailed. Concerning criminal law, Hammurabi also enforced the law of retaliation, known as talion, where the death penalty, whether by fire, hanging, drowning, or impalement, was imposed. In those times, the idea of proportional justice was widespread. If someone hurt you, the punishment had to be equivalent to the damage, an attempt to prevent uncontrolled retaliation from destroying society. The law of talion was one of the first attempts to limit revenge and transform it into justice. These were some details of these laws. For example, Hammurabi created a law regulating construction and responsibility. If a builder constructed a house that collapsed and killed the owner, the builder would be executed. If the owner's son died, then the builder's son should be killed. The message was clear: do your job well or face the consequences. There was also the law of commercial responsibilities, where a merchant who sold counterfeit goods could be sentenced to death. Hammurabi also organized laws regarding family matters. For example, if a son struck his father, the son's hand should be cut off. In the final years of his reign, Hammurabi faced several internal and external challenges. He focused on building defensive fortifications to protect his empire from growing threats from the east. By this time, he was already ill, and around 1750 BCE, Hammurabi died of natural causes, leaving the kingdom to his son, Samsu-iluna, who did not rule as effectively as his father. From then on, the first dynasty of the Babylonian Empire began to decline until it was finally sacked by the Hittites in 1595 BCE.